record.
How do you really feel about it?
Well, I don't let you mess with the recorder for you.
Yeah, I was gonna tell.
I just wanted to look at.
Mark was gonna sit in your spot, and I was gonna tell him that means you have to do the.
I don't remember what spot I was supposed to sit in, so.
Well, you have to run the.
I definitely don't want your responsibilities.
Will you make sure that's running, Jill? Because it wasn't hooked up and sometimes.
Well, and we're
Oh.
working tonight.
Are we on TV?
Yeah, we're on TV.
Oh, wow. Well, let's get started then and have the pledge. Dan, you want to lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dan, you don't forget what you were doing.
We can have it printed up next to the flag. Big letters. Big letters.
Sure.
Call meeting to order. Everybody had a chance to look at the minutes of the January 16th meeting.
Oh, they're so long, I couldn't read them all.
That's because we just attached Mike's recorder.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Dan, do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mark. Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Any requests to change the date between now and 20th of February?
No.
Don't think so.
Got a pay West Tech their final pay request. You'll find that in your packet. Some odd dollars.
$9,129.84.
Gonna come out next week, I just found out today, I think, but basically, all the issues that we had on our checklist, they have done. Great job. They're coming out this next week just to address some programming issue on a VFD, so it's, I don't have a problem with them all.
Do we have any, like, is there a continuing support agreement, service agreement?
I don't know where we're at with that. I mean, we definitely have a pretty good relationship now. I do with Kurt, with the.
And that's he with Dell?
I don't know how it's gonna work down the road when, and most stuff's pretty straightforward. I mean, we have good electrical plans. They can guide me where to go, and from there we can figure out what we need to do. For things out.
To pay West Tech.
I move that we approve the payment to West Tech's, approve the final payment to West Tech.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by. Any further questions? Any questions?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is claims.
Oh, wait, we're not done. What's the Port Authority money being used? When you guys set that up,
through our budget, they were budgeted through the general fund, 2 mills. We set up the Port Authority itself to be its own entity. Wasn't 2 mills over and above our capped mills, it was just within, they're opening a checking account, they're gonna do, help me out, yeah, no, they're doing a survey that they're gonna need postage for, and I think they're gonna be doing some advertising, and it'll be minimum charges, but they're gonna need to be able to pay for this. So what I did was split the mills, I gave them one. And then when we get our monies in June, the other.
Going to pay a secretary. They're incurring a few little expenses as they go along.
Mhm.
Blair has put together a really good survey. That I just received.
Is part of the pre-work that they need to do for the Montana Economic Developers Association to come and do what's now, what used to be called a resource team assessment and is now being called a community review. The pre-work before that community review, which will actually happen on the 19th and 20th of February, do a survey at every household in the city that they're requested
Postage.
for right now for postage on. And that survey is, there's a template for it that MEDA is providing them, and they have like 5 different assignments that they have to accomplish before the MEDA team comes. And this,
19?
It looked like from the email from Mary, they're pretty well set out.
So are they sending out the survey and then they want it back within like a week or something?
yeah, and
I think that's gonna be on websites, but I'm not positive of that.
I'm not sure, but
I just skimmed the email because I was busy, but I think that the survey is done. I think
it's in the process right now.
Just getting sent.
well, it's still in the making stage.
Mm.
How do?
Any more questions from you? Yep. There is the one, we did pay, I do have in there that we're paying Service Master. I have not heard from Mark, from MMIA. I'm assuming we pay and they then pay us. So that's why that claim is in there. If I emailed him, I haven't heard back. So if he says otherwise and they just pay them, then that would come out. I'll let you know at the next meeting if that's the case. I think we pay. I think normally that's what we do, but I can't remember.
March 19th and 20th, not February.
Oh, that makes better
Okay.
sense. I'm like,
Sorry.
there you go. Better get that survey.
It has to be returned by March 9th, I think, is the date it has to be
Oh,
returned.
right.
Okay, sorry about that, correction.
So Northwestern Energy, there's, and maybe a meeting, cause there's parties, that's what these all are.
Right, there is, and then there is also, like, this building get, water, we do sewer, we do
And
garbage, we do
that's same,
sewage.
same building category with a bunch of different accounts.
Right.
Okay.
Right,
Yep, and that is because I split that.
that's just how you have to set up the
And I
budget,
split
right?
the shop up, because that isn't just
So
the
do you know
shop,
offhand what the big one is, that 3,900?
that is the, or no, the,
No,
that is probably
I
streetlights.
think that's streetlights.
Okay,
Yeah, that is. Is it like 25?
well, there's one that's 23 and one that's 39.
39 is street.
Let me look, I think
Okay.
it's streetlights. Is it like a 2,000 number?
2,000 is, there's this 2352 here.
Stations and the treatment plant.
The energy you use from there. Okay. Where is that
Yeah, it's at the front.
Need LED street light.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
everybody's had a chance to look at the claims. May I have a motion to pay the claims?
I move that we pay the claims.
I'll
Moved by
second.
Stewart,
I'll second.
second by Jill. Any further questions? Further questions? Opposed? Carries.
Just put it up there, get ready.
Move into reports, right to Mike.
Everybody's got one there. This one's been pretty stable at the sewer plant. We'll start with sewer plant. There's a little blip in January. You can see where it went up. That's when we had the warm weather and everything melted. It did get us where all that water's coming from, and we're gonna do a bunch of smoke down the in there that we don't know about.
Cool.
So, we're gonna look into that, we'll let you know what we find out, hopefully sometime in the next couple months. We treated more water, in January than we did in December, went up about 17%. The actual amount of stuff that we removed was about the same, as December. That's really good. We did look through 3 different options for a polymer system, came up with one that we are hoping to get ordered. Not exactly sure, as soon as we can, we're ledge out there right now that we need to process. Boulder has in their plant, we coming out next week, they're gonna be here Monday and Tuesday theoretically. We're gonna go over those variable frequency drives and one other issue that's just recently come up that I don't think it's a West Tech issue, but they may be able to help us with, bids for the east side of town, and results are all on there, and I think things aren't written in stone yet, but they're getting close. So, it came in under what he estimated by quite a bit, so that's good. Moving on to the water system, I mentioned last meeting that we had been pumping a lot of water, and we were. We found probably 6 big leaks since last meeting. Most of them were actually in residences.
Houses?
Some,
I don't know, 2 were, people were gone.
yeah,
Oh, just gone, yeah.
lots of water. We've got all but one shut off now. We're gonna try and get to that one next week. That's when we have to dig up. And we got it coming in the right direction, as you can see on the graph. I think, soon, we'll be back where we need to be. In January, as you can see, but like I said, I think the number for February will be much better. Moving snow, in January, we had 10 hours overtime total. We already got that in February, and it sounds like, with this snow that's coming this week, January work hours, so that's good.
So, just from this past weekend?
That was from Timmy worked, yeah, from Sunday. Timmy worked parking 10 hours. I think Tim worked probably 7 hours, and I think they're, basically, the on-call covers them to check the water, the sewer, like, in the summer, they check the bathrooms, but that's what the on-call is. If they get called out, then it's an hour, you know, it's whatever it takes.
Very
And that basically covers about an hour's worth of work on a weekend, plus. Then you get called out, and you're on the clock.
Yeah, so when they plow on the weekend, do you make that call if they're gonna plow or not plow?
I do, yeah. And I usually, like, I plow Sunday, but I don't get over it as much as I can, so that I don't have to get. Visitor center's all dried out, we've got everything, pretty well back together there. The only thing left we're gonna do is when it was constructed, they ran, like, there's still 2 left that we're gonna. We started moving the dirt out of to the lagoon that's in violation, and we finally got approved for the GIS grant. Holy
Yay.
smokes. And, I'm hoping that within, sewer.
So if I can ask, for my own information, how long has the waste treatment plant been online?
Been online technically, I mean, December 16. But
Should've had a.
it wasn't really, I mean, it wasn't done.
It wasn't working.
The water was just kinda going through it.
Yeah.
I would, from my perspective, in earnest, probably May or truly online, July, August.
We can-
One sentence, how's it comparing to the old system? I mean, is it a huge
Well,
improvement?
I don't know exactly,
oh.
you know, when I got here, the lagoon was a mess, cause it was in the. You know, we had E. coli results in the, like,
It was bad.
tens of
It was
thousands.
bad. So we've seen an improvement. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we were getting violations every month for the last,
Tens of thousands where we have
5
1, 2,
years.
and 7
1,000,
years.
I saw that, okay.
You
And
know,
then,
we're-
and then you mentioned that, December's flows are a lot higher than December of the previous year,
no,
but the solids were the same. Did I hear
no, this
that?
is December of last month.
Last
Our
month.
flows went up 17% in last month. But basically, the amount of solids and
That's the
BOD that
same.
we're pulling out of it, the same.
So that's melting snow and
It's
rain
water,
moisture, whatever else.
ground, whatever, it's water, some kind of water.
Coming in.
It's just,
More about, the history, so I know we've had improvements, and I guess that's what I'm looking for on the water loss. You know, to have a 57% water loss. You
yeah,
find those big leaks, and maybe that's not a fair assessment in
No, I
one
think-
month.
some of the leaks were 500,000
1,000
gallons.
gallons, yeah.
up until, and I think it was in the last month, where's those, last month, 2 weeks ago, reports in the thing, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
In the
Pull that
minutes,
up real quick.
yeah.
It's got a graph in there, it shows
Oh,
basically
Larry,
just
Paul, I think I have on that.
the water loss for 16 and 17. So,
Okay.
you can't tell the colors, but
Yeah,
this is 16 here,
gotcha.
and so we were
process,
now.
okay, gotcha.
So we're still, for 16, 17,
So over the last 3, 4, 5 years, have we seen that continually going down each year, or?
I'm not sure, cause I
Okay.
don't know, we
It
haven't
was
gone back and
always-
plugged all that into the computer.
Yeah, that just seems like a lot, I mean,
I think
when it's good and it's a
probably
million
for the-
gallons.
No, well, don't they say for a water system, but what Montana Rural Water says is that you can hit 15%.
Yeah,
And, you know, what I'd say when we can continue to the 20s, I think that'd be pretty good.
okay,
We have had, I mean, I've been doing this 8 years, we have had at least 2 reports where water lost was above.
last month, that's what it was.
Yeah, and it's,
I mean, water,
Yeah, and this.
yeah,
Water loss.
well, we had that big one by the
Oh, I
school,
see what you're
that
saying.
first year I was on, I think.
that's a lot.
And this month it's just been crazy.
And part of the problem is too, is as soon as we start. And the pressure will inch up and then,
And then you find a bunch
it's
of
a,
leaks.
it's a
Yeah.
very, you know, we have some places where there's water lines that are probably.
Well, thank you for that, I appreciate it.
Any other questions for Mike? Comments?
Just a comment, we do a men's breakfast on Monday morning, and there were at least 3 guys who were very appreciative of the roads being getting the snow out of the way.
Well, I didn't wanna see that packed situation.
Yeah,
And, you know, I just, what started it out was, initially was just gonna be. Than I anticipated, and it was.
pass that on, that there were some very kind comments coming through yesterday, so.
You got your cars off Main Street.
Yeah, I knocked on some doors yesterday.
Looks good.
They came down and plowed Main Street in an hour and 15 minutes this morning. Side streets.
Thank you.
Jody, you're next.
Now for the boring stuff. In your packet, you have just the financials for the month of December. You can see that the revenue in the general fund is about where it needs to be. We had one full portion of the taxes come in, that one half. Where it needs to be, does anyone have any questions on whys or what fors of the revenue part and then the expenditure part? Expenditures, the general fund looks different than it normally does, but we've changed like the way that we pay our city attorney. We used to pay them monthly, now we're paying them 2 times a year, so that does make a difference in what it looks like our commitment is. We've paid our loans, sewer funds, we've paid our loans for, the first half. We paid the sheriff's office in full, we've paid, now the city attorney, we've paid so it is a little different in what it looks like really, because we are at 79%, but we don't have the large payments in the general fund left to pay. sitting very well. Everything is under the 50%, and we should be at, if we were spending all of it, it would be at 50% and everything. I think the highest is 47%, and that is in streetlights. Disability pension, and that is we pay out exactly what we budget in that, so. And I'll go to the revolving loan fund. We brought in principal, $13,924.64. The interest, $2,223.39. We do have a couple, three, I guess, that are in arrears that are actually have paid their interest in full and are now working on paying just down the principal. We do have into the everybody did make a payment to me, and I'm hoping that the one that we always had trouble, that we've been waiting a long time, is paid off, and Antler Art is looking to pay theirs off hopefully in the next couple months. Jensen Funeral Home is now paid in full. Bowhunters is now paid in full. So, okay, I do have a recommendation that I am gonna take to the board. It is, I think that we need to rethink really trouble is when those loans get too high. When we for $5,000, it's for a very specific purpose. When we harder, we're not a bank, and we don't have. And I'm right, and I'm.
I'm not anymore either.
So last week was our audit. We were here. We worked some just over email and the phone the week before because they scheduled the school and me the same week. So, but it went really well. They did, ASB people changed after we passed the law on the fire relief. They changed the way that we are supposed to an actuarial, which costs $4,000 every 2 years to do. They won't let us do, for our insurance, they let us do 2 different kinds. One of them that the auditor could do, they won't let us do that on that. So, and I don't like to take a finding. I took a finding on that. They were saying that the auditor figured out that I would have to have an unfunded liability for approximately, and he's not an actuarial either, about $350,000. We budget $8,600 a year. All of the Gatsby, all of the stuff that they do, that this is gonna cost those firemen that we pay out of their retirement, we're gonna have to pay $4,000 every 2 years. It out for these retirees we have right now. I have enough money if I didn't put one dime in there for 10 years. $1,000 sitting in that fund, and I mean, and we can pay all the people with the auditor sitting there, and we are okay. I am following state law. State law is 5 years. Gatsby, GAP is what it's called, and so we are going to get one finding. And we're hoping that after this 1 year, and the state sees wanted them to see how many findings there was going to be, and maybe they'll rethink that. They are looking at some different things, so. I took the finding. I haven't had a finding in a long time, but other than that, it was good. We didn't have, everything was clean. So.
I don't have anything. I talked to Nick later today, and he's probably gonna take the street lights down tomorrow, hopefully. But maybe
Yeah, just let somebody, just let him in.
evening, but I think he's good.
Yeah, oh yeah. He's plugging his ear.
I definitely agree with you,
And then, it's, Mike and I talked the other day about the community cleanup, because I gotta start thinking about it. No,
It's
don't make me
snowing,
clean.
Bill, it's snowing.
I know, but we gotta just get it on the radar.
it's on the radar, so.
And this is February, so like,
It's like October.
no, it's
No,
May.
May.
It's a name.
So since you brought it up, did we recycle electronics last year?
Not
Year
last
before.
year.
Okay, I may have a lead on somebody who's willing to do that for you. So I will contact him and put him in touch with you,
Okay.
because they do it. And they take it, they refurbish what they can, and they recycle what they can, so.
But we'll talk about that later, because we've got time.
Yeah, time.
That's all I got.
Thanks, Joe. Mark?
Nothing really, just a couple, I've talked to a couple citizens, just talking about cleaning up some of the, I'm working with the mayor a little bit on that. I mean, I'll roll up my sleeves and help them if we can get there. Sometimes it's been kind of standoffish, trying to get past some of that, so. That's it.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark. Anything other than people have come in or caught me on the streets and given our crews a honk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great
That's,
job out there.
Pretty neat. One guy said he'd been in Billings, Butte, Anaconda, and Missoula in the past 2 weeks. And our streets were better than any of the streets he'd been on in other communities, so that's pretty darn nice. Thanks, Mike. Thank you, crew.
Well, we got the snow to cover the potholes.
Jody had, when the auditors were here, nothing but complimentary on her work and how our books are being kept, so I think we got two department heads that really deserve a lot of credit, so. Other than that, I have nothing. Paul, do you have a comment?
I was gonna ask about the grant for the sidewalks, if that was
Well,
approved.
it was on my list to talk about, but I forgot. So I'll talk about it now. How's that?
Sure.
So now we're in the phase of, we've signed the contract. Tomorrow I'll be on a conference call with the head of this program in DOT and Dave Pauline, who is the engineer for this program. And we will, what's called, shortlist the 3 engineers. Then in the next month, then they all have to submit a proposal for doing the project. And I will know more tomorrow as to how long that takes. He kind of walked me through it, but we will work on it this summer. It may be in the latter part of the summer. That's what it sounded like to me after talking to this guy, can't remember his name, Ryan somebody, on last week. But my phone call, my conference call is tomorrow at 8:40. So I'll know more then as to, but we don't have a lot of say. We have some say in this part. They'll shortlist to the 3. Usually, I've been told that they will listen to what we want for this one. We do have a vote when it comes to actually who they choose. I did see the list today. There was a couple that, I really hope they don't choose. But we'll see.
But so you're thinking the work could actually be done on the ground by late summer?
I hope, I think so. And they're, that was kind of actually in the beginning, that's what they were saying, I think would be fiscal year 18. I'm guessing that it probably won't be till,
September, October.
yeah, end of July in that area. I will keep you in the loop as I know more.
My main concern is the trees.
And they'll have to work, that will be part of the design. They're gonna have to, that's all gonna have to be part of it. So, some of that will probably have to come from us. The trees, but it'll all be, that will be part of the design. So whomever the engineering firm is, that they will, of the 3, then they actually submit a proposal to the Department of Transportation. We do get to see those proposals, but I'm not sure it really didn't sound like at that point we have a whole lot of say.
So my main question is just, I should be prepared at some point to, be involved with the tree removal, because it's potentially a hazard, and, I may have to move some of my landscaping, this kind of thing, so I just
Maybe.
wanna.
But they'll come talk to you long before, in the planning stages, as to what they're gonna do.
Okay.
Or that's the way they've always done it before. But we'll keep you in the loop too. I should know more in the next month.
I'll work on being approachable.
You do that.
Mike can help me out with that.
Okay, yeah. You can do that. Okay.
Anything else, Paul?
That's it.
Melanie, you got anything?
The Solutions Journalism Network project that I've been involved in, that yielded the Montana Gap stories, you guys are familiar with, that Mark was featured in, wants to do a community engagement program in Choteau on Tuesday the 27th of February at 7 o'clock at the Stage Stop Inn. And so I'm going to be, over the next 2 weeks, frantically promoting that and calling people and begging them to come and attend that February, 27th,
What time now?
7 o'clock at the Stage Stop. They want us to narrow down a focus, and I don't have a focus for them to narrow down to. I think that a lot of the stuff that was written about was about how difficult it is to structure an economy within small communities that supports the 25 to 44 age cohort that has children in schools. And I kind of told them that might be what we want to talk about most, but the idea is just to generate support within your community, to get people looking at the solutions and the problems that we wrote about. And there'll be 2 people from Solutions Journalism here, a guy named Eric Dietrich and another guy named Zachariah, and I don't remember Zachariah's last name, but to kind of help, along with me, to help lead it. Yeah, so I'm going to try to get as many CAPA people there as I can. I'd love to see the city council there. I'd love to see school board members there, and then everyone else who I can possibly call and personally invite to come. I'd love to get a wide age range, particularly 25 to 44-year-olds who are being here, like Mark. So, anyway, that's on the horizon.
Thanks, Mel.
Are you gonna have wine and beer? Just kidding.
Well, there's a
Well,
lounge
the
in there.
livery is right across the way, and yeah,
And you do talk more after you've had it. Not you specifically.
I
Well,
am
maybe.
thinking that I need to have at least meat and cheese crackers there, yeah. Because I think we want to structure it more as a conversation, not just a lecture. So I'm
Yeah.
not sure, I've never done a community engagement roundtable before, so I'm
Is that, like, so fiber optic is coming to Choteau?
At some point in time.
Well,
And then
27.
2 years.
2019.
No, 2019.
Yeah.
is when they're going to start.
No, they're actually starting
They
now.
are
They're
starting.
doing the
Start.
planning now.
Okay.
They were actually in my backyard
Yeah.
last week.
Yeah.
I have signed something for here as to where they're gonna put the new box. So they are already
Yeah, no, it
started.
sounds
Okay.
like they're
Time to
serious.
maybe-
Cool.
Well, I mean, I felt like if they were doing that part of it,
No,
that they were getting pretty serious.
I will tell you that I have friends who live in the country and they did run it to their house, but it's still hanging on the side of their house.
Right, it still isn't hooked up.
Right.
But, I mean, it's hanging on their house, so it's gotta be.
Well, the thing about it is, I mean, there are gonna be places in Choteau where you're still gonna have a copper wire and that's fine. You can run a lot of data at the
And
copper
we're
wire.
gonna, it's gonna be fiber to all. our-
Every house?
Every house.
Every house.
Okay.
They said they were
They were-
going down my alley, talking to people as
Okay.
to where they were gonna run it. They were in my backyard, God forbid, and we're looking at where our box is on our house, and so.
Cool.
Yes, it is. Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Dan,
Second.
seconded by Stewart. All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
I wanna know.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
It has been an awful year.